Welcome to Lords, where I'm joined by Lawrence Booth of the Daily Mail and the Wisden Cricketers Almanac. Lawrence, we spoke before the game, and the expectation from England was for a greenish pitch, which would have lots of carry. They got that. They've lost by 95 runs. Where does Cook go from here?
Well, he thinks he goes straight to Southampton, where he's going to try and sort it out. But there are a lot of people now in English cricket, not at the ECB, I should hasten to add, outside the ECB, who think he should be falling on his sword, that it would do everyone the world of good within the English game if he were to concentrate on his batting. He hasn't scored a Test 100 in 27 innings now. England haven't won a Test match in 10. That's their worst sequence since the early 1990s. So it's a desperate state of affairs for England. Yeah, they got the conditions they were after. They've been moaning all summer about not getting the conditions where they feel they could beat Asian sides, Sri Lanka first, now India. Well, they completely wasted a glorious toss on Thursday. They bowled poorly in the first and third sessions, quite well in the second session. They dropped crucial chances, and India outplayed them in English conditions. It's very hard for them to take.
Coming back to the bowling, Broad and Anderson between them over 600 Test wickets. On the Indian side, Ishant's the only one who's played even more than 10 Test matches. In a sense, it's almost like bazooka against pea shooters, and it seems the pea shooters have bowled better the first two Tests.
Well, I mean, I never thought, even at the start of the series, that India's attack was pea shooters. I always felt Bhuvneshwar and Mohammad Shami in particular were going to be useful if they got conditions like this. But look, Bhuvneshwar, as Ian Botham, his favourite phrase, it's not rocket science. He just pitched the ball up, ball after ball, and he has a little natural variation, little movement each way, swings it a bit. That's all he needed to do on that track, and it was staggering, really, that bowlers with the experience of Broad and Anderson couldn't replicate that. Equally worrying, I think, that no one was taking charge and pointing it out to them. And if Cook was pointing it out to them, why weren't they responding? You know, so there are all sorts of questions about the leadership of the England team at the moment, why the senior players aren't responding to their captain. They all say the right things in public, but when you look at the evidence out on the field, something is going badly wrong, and that's 10 games now. They've lost 7 of them. They don't often not win one of 4 Tests at home. You know, home used to be a fortress for England. Now they've lost at home to Sri Lanka. They could easily lose at home to India, and that really would be a disappointment for them.
You spoke about the experienced players. Some of the young ones have come in and looked really good. Gary Ballance had 100 here in the first innings. Root and Moeen Ali at one stage on the final day looked like they might actually take England to the target. Who are the senior players most under pressure, do you think, for their places in this side?
Well, we have to assume that Cook will carry on simply from what has been said at the end of this game. He wants to carry on. There's no appetite at the ECB to drop him, so he stays. Whether that's right or wrong is another matter. Ian Bell is in a similar position, hasn't scored a Test 100 now in 18. OK, a ball kept a bit low in the second innings, but you could say he was still playing down the wrong line. He hasn't responded to the onus of responsibility at all. Broad, I'm not sure, is completely fit. Jimmy Anderson's had his moments, but needs support. And then Matt Pryor's the big one, I think. I think we might have seen the last of Matt Pryor in Test cricket. Time to bring in Jos Buttler. Yes, he may drop a few as well, but look, he can't do any worse than Pryor's been doing at the moment, missing pretty well everything low to his right. He's been bounced out 4 times this summer alone. Forget what happened in the winter against Mitchell Johnson. He's being bounced out by Asian seamers on English tracks. Butler's got to come in, and there's an Ashes next summer. The Aussies would love Pryor to still be there. Cricket Australia put up a video recently highlighting Pryor's failures and asking whether the bell was tolling for him. Well, don't do that, Australia, because you'll get Jos Buttler in the team, and that will be good for England.
Finally, what about the pitches for the rest of the series? I mean, we had what England asked for here. Can we expect something similar in Southampton?
Well, where do they go from here? They complained about the flat one at Trent Bridge. I mean, it wasn't good for cricket. It's since been rated poor by the ICC. They've got beautiful conditions here, and they failed to take advantage of it. I think at the Rose Bowl, what generally happens is if it starts with a bit of grass, then it's a nice bouncy track. It's a good cricket wicket, and the better team should win. If it starts dry, then it could risk turning into a sort of Trent Bridge style track. But that would suit India down to the ground. If they can play on another Trent Bridge style pitch and perhaps get a draw at Southampton, then they're left needing only to win one of the last 2 Tests for what would be a famous series victory for them.
Thanks a lot for joining us, Lawrence. That's it from us at Lord's. We'll see you in Southampton.